Good morning. Today our lesson is about pie charts and how to work out the size of sectors in pie charts, having angles at the center. In the next lesson, we are going to make an extension for this lesson and with using percentage. Now, what are pie charts? Pie charts can show proportions in a set of data either as percentages or fractions. Today, we are going to take it as fractions. Each part in the pie chart is called a sector. So a sector is like this. Each part divided here is called a sector. This is called a sector. I will start this lesson by using fractions. Sometimes in the pie charts, fractions are not written and angles are also not written. For that, sometimes fractions are easily read in the pie chart. For example, this exercise, if you look at it, as a pie chart, it shows the proportion of British and foreign cars sold at a car sales room. Then they gave you the total number of cars sold, which is 40. If you look at the pie chart, you don't have angles and you don't have fractions. But as you notice that you can easily read the fraction here. If you look at the British cars, you will find like it's a quarter of the pie chart, which is 1 over 4. So 1 over 4 of 40 cars is equal to 10. 1 over 4, how can I calculate? You can calculate it by either simplifying or writing as a decimal. You can say 1 over 4 is 0.25 times 40. But here I prefer to simplify 40 divided by 4 to get 10. Sometimes you can convert into decimals and sometimes you find that it's easier to simplify. The other part, the other sector is a 3 over 4 out of 40, which is a 3 over 4 times 40 to give you 30. Or you can say the rest is 40 minus 10, which is 30. How can we read a pie chart when it is divided into fractions that are not so obvious that you can't read them? When you have like this case, you can do this by working out the angle the sector makes at the center of the pie chart using a protractor. Then you calculate this angle as a fraction of the total angle of 360. Why 360? Because as you know, the full rotation of a circle is a 360. So that's the total for a full rotation in a circle. So if the fraction is not obvious, you go to find the angle of each sector. And then this angle, you calculate it as a fraction of the total, which means when you find this angle, you put it over 360 degrees. Then you multiply it by the total number given in the exercise. Now we have this pie chart. The pie chart shows the types of housing on a new state. We have different sectors. Each one is represented for something. Detached houses, semi-detached houses, bungalows, and terraced. And you have to find how many houses in each sector. First of all, you need to know a few things. You have to know the total number of houses, which is given as 540 new houses. Then, since you are dealing with angles, so you have to know the total rotation for angles, which is 360 degrees. Now, to find these answers for part A, B, C, D, I meant to give you the answers based on two calculations. either by dividing the fraction first, then multiplying by 540, or by simplifying, because as you know, sometimes you get repeated decimals. So let's see. Let's look at part A. Part A, sorry. How many were detached? Detached Detached houses are represented by the red color sector. We look at it to get 90 degree. So this 90 degree is out of 360, and then you multiply it by 540. You can say 90 over 360. When you simplify it, you can get 1 over 4, which is 0.25 times 540 to get 135. Here 0.25 is a terminated decimal, so you can calculate it easily. Part B, semi-detached houses, is represented by the blue color as an angle of 120 degree. So to write it as a fraction, you will say 120 out of its total 360, and then you multiply it by the total number of houses. It's 180. 120 over 360 will give you a repeated decimal, which is 0.3333. To avoid this, you can simplify 120 over 360 to get 1 over 3, and then multiply it by 540. 540 divided by 3 is 180 semi-detached houses. 6. C. Bungalow. It's represented by the yellow color, which is 40 degrees divided by 360 times 540. This one can be simplified as 1 over 9 times 540 to give you 60, or can be written as a decimal part. Part D is represented by the green color, 110 divided by 360 times 540. It's 11 over 36. I just simplified the zeros, and then I divided 540 by 36. I did simplification. I've got 11 times 15, which is equal to 165. I did it by simplifying to avoid having any repeated decimals. Now this exercise, we did it like this using the angles because the fractions was not easily read by this pie charts. This is another exercise. It shows you both fractions which are easily read and fractions which are not read easily. If you look at the pie chart, you can see that the total number as given in the title, it's 3,000 kilograms of dangerous waste in 2013. The fractions which are easily read in this pie chart are landfilled and burnt garbage. Landfilled shows you the half of the pie chart, so half times the total is 3,000. So 1 over 2 times 3,000 is 1,500 kilograms. Then you look at the part which is burnt. It's a quarter of the pie chart, so it's 1 over 4 times 3,000, which is 3,000 over 4 to get 750. Then we still have the Downton Sea and the chemical treatment. These are not easily read fractions, so you have to measure their angles, the angles of each sector from these two. You do it by using a protractor to measure the angle. Dumping it in the sea, which is represented by the blue color, if you measure it, you will get 30 degrees. So since we are using angles, you have to get the total of these angles which is a full rotation of a circle, 360. So you have to put 30 over its total. Since we are dealing with degrees, so the total is with the degrees, 30 over 360, and then you multiply it by the given total, which is 3000. As I said before, you can write fractions as decimals, or you can simplify. But when you have repeated decimal, don't do it as repeated. It's better to write it as simplification. 30 over 360 times 3000 is 250 grams. Then the last one, you can do it by subtraction, by saying that land filled is 1500, the other part is 750 and 250. You add them and you subtract it from 3000. Or you can measure it to get a 60 degree, and this 60 degree is out of 360 times 3000, which is 500 kilograms. So you can do the last sector by subtracting it from the total, or by doing it as fractions. As a summary about what we took today, we took how to read a pie chart, we need to find the number in each sector. To do this, we have to use two things. The first one, it's easily read fractions. When you can read easily fractions in a pie chart, you can read it easily when you have 1 over 4, 1 over 2, 3 over 4. When you have this fraction, then you multiply the fraction by the total number, like this case. You always multiply it by the total given number. Now, if the fractions were not read easily, you have to go and search for your own fraction. To do this, we have to work out the angle the sector makes at the center of the pie chart. And then when you find this angle, you have to find the total angle of 360, which means the angle you found over 360, and then as usual you multiply it by the total given, like this one. So we did our own fraction by using the angles, and then we multiplied it by the total number. Thank you for listening, and that's your assignment for today.